Hey guys, it's Mel. Welcome to my channel. Video, I'm going to discuss my audiobook journey with you. In my last video, Daisy Jones and the audiobook journey, I talked about reasons why we enjoy books and the various different mediums and formats that we enjoy books in. I also posed quite a few questions about what makes a good book, and in fact if a different medium of enjoying books influences our enjoyment of those books, and whether it should or not. If you want to know more about my thoughts about this particular topic in relation specifically to Daisy Jones and the Six, but also audiobooks in general, I will link my video where I talk about that in the description below and also have it in the little eye. So please go and check that out. For today's video, I'm actually going to be changing things up a little bit. So as you all know, this started because I was really quite new to listening to audiobooks. It was a way of experiencing books and stories that I hadn't actually experienced. And I was coming to audiobooks without a clear understanding of what I thought of them or whether I would enjoy them. So for those of you that have been watching this series of videos for a while, you would know that the first book that I've read as part of this whole epic journey and what actually prompted me to start making the videos was The Wife Between Us by Greer, Hendricks and Pekkanen. I have mentioned this in quite a few of these videos and I'm still not 100% sure whether I didn't particularly like the book or whether I just didn't really like the narrator. I feel kind of bad saying that I didn't particularly like the narrator because I feel like a story that you tell is one thing to like or dislike, but a person's voice is something that they can't really alter, and it feels a bit mean to say that they might be the reason that I didn't like a particular book, but nonetheless, I think that might in fact be the case. Because I've listened to a few different audiobooks over the last year or so, and as you would know, I've had different experiences with them. I've come to the conclusion that it's not really the medium in general, possibly just like with any other reading experience or storytelling experience, it's the book itself. I don't know that I would enjoy Daisy Jones and the Six any more as a physical book than I did as an audiobook. I'm equally unsure whether or not I would enjoy The Wife Between Us more as a physical book than I did as an audiobook. I have said in other of these videos that I would like to read that book and see what the situation with that is. I do feel like it's a book that I potentially would enjoy maybe under different circumstances, but I haven't quite got around to that yet. It's still something I'm thinking of doing, but there's been a whole bunch of different things going on and a whole bunch of different readathons and general TBRs that I've gotten myself involved in, so it's on the back burner for the moment. But I have experienced other audiobooks that I quite enjoyed. As you know, I enjoyed Jingo. As you know, I enjoyed On Lunar Time. Most recently, I started listening to Born a Crime by Trevor, and I'm really, really enjoying that. And I think in part because it is a memoir and it's read by Trevor himself, it really makes me feel like I'm involved in the story and I'm hearing from Trevor in person, which is such a really cool feeling. So that's my experience with audiobooks so far. And like I said, I've come pretty much to the conclusion that it's not audiobooks as a medium so much as potentially just whether I like or dislike a book. Unfortunately, narration will have something to do with this because it adds or takes away from the story as you listen to it. That's just the way it is, I think. I've heard other people in the booktube community and elsewhere say that an audiobook was good or wasn't good, and oftentimes say that they enjoyed the audiobook better or worse than the physical book. So given that, I don't think that my audiobook journey has necessarily come to an end, but I feel like I'm coming to a place where I'm starting to really understand and know what I'm looking for and getting to enjoy audiobooks in general. So that leads me to another question, which is again to do with the format and the medium by which we experience and enjoy stories. And that is graphic novels or comic books. I have never gotten into comic books. As a young girl and a teenager, when the majority of the people that I know were getting into that type of medium, I didn't. I've always been a text-based reader, and I just, to be honest, never really bothered with comics or graphic novels, which is a shame. I've never really developed an understanding or an appreciation for the way that you read graphic novels. As a lot of you probably know, in March my partner and I challenged each other to read books that we chose for each other. And one of the books that Rowan chose for me was Pang, the Wandering Shaolin Monk. The main reason why he chose this book for me is, as you can see, that it's a graphic novel, and he knew that graphic novels were a medium that I was interested in getting involved in, and this was a graphic novel that he really enjoyed, so he thought that I might enjoy it as well. I am that far into it, so I've got about a third left to go. It's taken me a month and a half to read this book, and I realised as I was reading it that part of the reason why it was taking me so long, or most of the reason why it was taking me so long and why I didn't really appreciate it, was because I am such a text-based reader, and making myself take the time to really look at the imagery and the pictures was something that I just am not experienced in, and I just wasn't doing that. And so I was missing out on a lot of really interesting and fun storytelling techniques because I was focusing on the writing and I didn't really know how to go about experiencing it. So just like at the beginning of my audiobook journey, I went to social media, and a friend of mine passed on my question to another friend of hers, which was basically, how do you go about training yourself to read graphic novels? Is there a technique or some particular way that you can read graphic novels? And he came back and he suggested a bunch of different graphic novels that I could potentially start with to help me get used to the medium and used to the experience. He had a variety of suggestions, and to be honest, they all sounded really cool, but there were two suggestions that really stuck out to me. And that was because both of the suggestions were graphic novels that I had seen being talked about as something that people have really, really enjoyed. So I thought that I would give those a try. The first one is Pumpkinheads by Rowell and Erin Hicks. This was a really popular novel last year, and it looks really cute and really sweet and really quite easy to read. So I think that might be a good place to start. I don't own it. I could download it on my e-reader, but I feel like because so much of the artwork is beautifully coloured, I really want to actually experience that, and my e-reader is black and white. So I may go online and order it from Book Depository or Amazon or something a bit later on today or in the next few days. But the other one was Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, and I know that that one is a webcomic, so I'm going to go and look that up and have a look and see what I think of it. I am going to try and finish this one as well because it is an interesting story. And now that I'm aware that maybe I'm not approaching graphic novels in a particularly great way to enjoy it so much, I'll give it a shot and see if I can rethink my way of approaching it. As you probably know, I have in the past read this one, and because it is stick figures and really quite simple drawing, although I really enjoy the imagery, it's not something that I'm too concerned with not noticing things as much. So I might go back and have a look through these as well and see if I can figure out a way to approach it with a book where if I keep falling back on old habits, it won't matter as much. This is one that the person I was just talking about on Twitter actually said wasn't a great place to start. I'm not sure why, but I think because it's quite in-depth. But I'm still going to probably go back and have a look through these once I've had a look at Heartstopper and Pumpkinheads, because as I'm sure many of you know by now, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is my favourite television program, and I've never really entirely enjoyed these, even though I've looked at them before. And again, now that I figured out that maybe it was the way that I was approaching it, I want to go back and really try again and see if I can approach it in a way that will increase my enjoyment of the book, or books. There are 8. So my audiobook journey has now changed to an audiobook and comic book journey. If you have any suggestions of great places to start, any comics that you've really enjoyed, remembering that I am a comic book novice. Please comment below and let me know. I'd love to get a few more suggestions from people. I'd also love to know if you've read any of these graphic novels and what you thought of them. I'd also love to know what your experience and opinion of audiobooks are. Please comment below with the answers to any of these questions, or just to let me know what you're reading. I'd love to talk to you. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.